everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is a pre-recorded video today as I am not home, so I am unable to go live with you guys. I'm going to make a quick card tonight using some of the City Sidewalk Release. I've got the Winter Home and the Flurry of Joy. I've already got the SVGs cut out, as you can see here, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp them out. How I did this, I'm going to go ahead and choose a few of these items here. Is that what I do is I take the stamps that I want to stamp, and I chose one of the trees, but I got to figure out which tree did I choose. I think I chose this one because I did not mark them yet. I'm planning on using this sentiment, but I will do that separately. And then from the Winter Home, I've got the house and the snowman, and I'm hoping to also do and I'm also going to do the little wisp of snow, but I'm not going to have much space on that. Actually, I can show you how I'm going to do that too. So I'm going to come back. Actually, I'll show you this part. What I wanted to show you guys here before this is all in my Misty is this. I cut out, this is a different one. I cut out all of my images, and this was a smaller set, so I cut them all out, and I kind of arranged them in my Cricut machine, and then I cut them out so I have lots of space, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to make like negative spaces. So first thing I'm going to do is cut it in half. I've been doing this long enough that I can kind of eyeball it and figure out how I want to do it on my paper with my Cricut so I can save paper. Now this is just garbage, so I'm just going to throw that away. I'm sure there's ways you can do that, but you can go ahead and use this. And like I said, I just literally cut them down. I do have a video where I show this. You can see it on my channel, which is Sugar Cards by Candi B. If I have a second, I'll try to remember to link that in the description box below. But then I just cut them out and then I use them. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting these out off camera, and then I will come back and show you how I stamp them out. I'm going to do a little bit of, I'm going to speed it up, of course, and I'm also going to use, put some music on, because that way, you know, there's not much here. It's kind of self-explanatory. Okay, I will be right back. I'm back. I'm just going to color everything in with a couple of tri-bend markers. Like again, like I said, I'm just going to, maybe one Olo or 2 Olos. I'm just going to speed this up and put on some music, and I'm just going to do some very basic coloring. This is kind of a night sky kind of card, so it's going to be a night scene. So it's not going to be very much, so sit back and relax, and I will come back when it's time to start kind of putting our card together. Next, I'm just going to take some Clear Skies, Midnight Snack, and Crowned Me inks. These are these two are Stellar inks. This is the original, and we're just going to go ahead and ink blend. Does not have to be fancy. Just kind of, we're going to go from light to dark. because we're just going to cover it up. I made those snow drifts, just you saw me with some paper, just kind of cutting in some snow drifts here. And we're just going to go in, and like I said, this is a night sky. So, or an evening sky, I should say, you know, I mean, it's more night, you know, I mean, I don't know. I want to go out sledding in the dark. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the light blue. It may be not the perfect, but this is the way I wanted to do it. So I'm going to do a blend like this. Now, to get a very smooth blend, usually I use Ranger blending tools versus brushes because I get a better smooth blend. Like, I don't get the ridges, but this is a night sky. We're going to do some splatter on here, so it's not really going to matter, you know, how messy the blend is. So I'm just adding some color, and these inks do take a little longer, you know, to dry, so I do need to, you know, get it in there. And I just trying to get a bunch of color down without going too hard, too heavy. I mean, not too hard, too heavy. Just, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just, like I said, it's a blended sky. If I wanted a really like smooth blend, I would take my time and I would just go in. Now I will say, I tend to get a little bit smoother blends when I'm using the Simon Hurley regular inks, but that's only because that only depends on if I have them re-inked, and that's only because it's a felt pad, where with the Stellar inks, that's the felt pad, the Stellar inks are a foam pad. It doesn't mean that I'd get a bad result, it just means that I tend to get a lot of ink and I get a little more sploochy, but it's still new for me, so I'm still playing with them a little bit. I hope that makes sense. I'm just going to kind of go back and forth a little bit, making sure I don't get too much on my fingers because we're going to be playing with white here. And I'm okay with the bottom. I don't need to do all the way to the bottom because it's going to be, you know, covered. And I'm okay that the night sky isn't 100% covered in. You could do some black around the edges to really bring in the depth. I don't really want to go with that theme here, so that's why I'm going this little bit lighter version without the black. You could use the, oh, what's it called? Black Widow ink, I believe. And that would around the edges, and that would give you that wonderful black kind of darkness. Uh-oh, did I just lose my piece for my, I think I might have just lost part of our stamp set. Not my stamp, but my image that I colored out. That's okay. If it did, we did. Nope, there it is. Whew. It's just been a scratch. Okay, I want to also clean my fingers up real good. We're going to be using some white here. Just want to make sure I got nice and clean fingers. So anything I link in the description box below, most everything I link in the description box below is an affiliate link, which just means if you place a small order using that link, I get a small kickback, which helps me bring you guys content, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. So I hope you will check out some of this release. I don't have a bundle or anything for you guys tonight. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just using some things that I had in my stash to go along with what the night sky, this thing, the whole, what do I want to say? The city theme thing here. So I'm going to quickly heat set this just a little bit. We just want to make sure this is nice and dry. I'm going to grab my little silicone thing. Now I learned the hard way, make sure you put it up with a little bit of the little notches because that helps get some air through it. If you have it on the flat side, it tends to get hot because the air can't move as well. And of course you don't want to, I'm just going to kind of heat it up a little bit. I'm not going to do any heat embossing on here tonight. I just want to make it sure it's good and dry because I'm going to go ahead and add some splatter. But first, I'm going to grab an acrylic block here, and I'm going to get my alabaster ink, and I'm going to grab a couple of the snowflakes out of this snowflake set. And I'm going to stick a couple there, and I'm going to stick maybe one on that corner and maybe one over here. We're just going to do it so that they're kind of, I'll put 2 of them on this corner. And then I've got 1 on this corner. And actually, I'll put 1 on this corner. And all we're going to do is I'm going to stamp these lightly down. I'm not going to worry too much if I get, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect because a snowflake isn't perfect. I just want that little bit of funness for the sky. And I'm pressing way too hard into my ink pad for this. So just that little hint of flurry and snow is all I'm kind of going for. Just a random snowfall. Because who loves sledding? Who doesn't love sledding out in the snow? You know, that perfect Christmas snow, I would call it. It's been a while since I've been out sledding in the Christmas snow, or even out walking in a Christmas snow. A couple years ago, when we first got our pup, I was able to take him down after a fresh snowfall on a Saturday, and it was just so into like a wooded area. No one had been there. It was just beautiful and peaceful. Okay, I'm also going to grab the Ornament Chroma Mist, Ornament Gold. You know me, I love this. I'm going to splatter it a little bit so I get a few big drops. And then I'm going to make a mess on my desk. I actually do have my splatter box here, so maybe I can show you how to do this. So what I like to do is I like to spritz it in the air and go like that. And so I kind of just go through the air versus spritz it straight on. And what it does is it gives it just the hint without it being overly split. So like if you really want it shimmery, spritz it right on. But if you spritz it in the air and wafe it through, you get a little bit of that fun snow. Okay, so now we're going to kind of build our card panel. I had some snow. Now, here's one of my snow panels. This is a fairly simple card. Like I said, you could use, I thought I had 2 of these. What happened to the other one? Oh, I cut one like this out, yeah. So I'm going to put this one down here, and then we're going to put this one behind it. And then because I have that little bit of an area here, I think what I'm going to do is we're going to put another one like this. So I got 3 snowbanks, okay? And this is the one I'm going to stamp my sentiment on. So let's go ahead and put these down first. I'm going to use a little bit of foam tape to put these down. So there's a little lip and layer. And I'm not going to put a ton of it down. What I'm going to do is cut it up. And I'm put it down towards the bottom on all of these. I'm going to wait on the bottom one, the last one, because we're going to stamp our sentiment on it though. And take this off because this is the one that's going to go in the back. And I want this one to be kind of, this is the one we're going to attach our little sled guide to. So we're going to, but I want to make sure I cover up all of the white. So we're going to put this down. And then, and it's okay that there's a little space right there. And then we're going to take this one. And I probably didn't need this much foam tape on here because I only needed a small portion of this. I did that completely wrong. So we're going to fix that. I should not have cut that. Learn from my mistakes. Peel off this foam tape because it'll still work for me. Put it on, but we're going to, because I just wanted a small snowbank to kind of go in like this. So we just need to cut this down like this. Ooh. Ooh. Like those sound effects. We're going to cut it down just a little bit more, so it's going to be hidden. I'm going to stick that guy right in here. And that's only because it's going to cover up part of the spot that I don't have with this one. And then this guy's going to go down below. But we're gonna put I'm gonna put that foam tape that I made a mistake on and put it there. But first I wanna stamp my sentiment on it. So let's grab our Misty. And we're going to line this up. And I'm gonna try to get on camera here. And we're gonna see, yeah, we can about center it. We should be able to about center it. I'm gonna do this, sending you a flurry of joy. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab one of those inks that we use, one of those colored inks. And just kind of peek, make sure that's straight. Yep, put that back in. And I think I'm gonna grab the Midnight Snack. Now, like I said, these are very juicy because they're foam, so you just barely have to touch them. You don't want to push them in. And then I'm just going to lightly run my fingers over it. Ooh, that's almost about perfect. I'm going to do it one more time, barely tapping it, lightly run my fingers over it. And then I have this fun little sentiment here, sending you a flurry of joy. And then I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue to this side, just because we're going to cover up. And we're going to put this down. And I think this one's got to get lowered just a hair. Just a hair. So I didn't push that. Sorry, I should not talk with that pin in my mouth. And then we'll put that down. We're just going to cover it so that it's covering all of our spots. Yep, we're covering all of our spots. And like I said, for this type of thing, you could go in and you could cut it off. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to chop this off. We're going to chop that off. I'm going to go ahead and I like to cut them a little bit big because then you can go in and cut off the edges. If you've got a nice paper trimmer, you can go in and just kind of chomp through it. But I've got kind of layers there with all that foam tape. And I've got this nice little snowman. And like I said, this, I think I got to lower it just a hair more. Just a hair more. There we go. There we go. And I'm going to put it at a little bit of an angle. That covers it up. And then we'll cut that off. So if you don't push it down too tight, you can rearrange that. So now see how that is? We got that dimension there. So now we're going to take our little house and he's going to go back here and we're just going to glue him straight down. I'm not going to, because I want him to pretend like he's behind. I'm going to put him back behind here. And then we got our little boy. He's going to be sledding down the hill. We got our little snow. We got our little, so this little piece, this little smoke stuff came from the other stamp in the winter home stamp set, but I just had the SVG, you know, not modified, but used it to cut out my Cricut machine. And then actually we can put him on here. So he needs a little bit of foam tape. I have these little squares I've been trying to use up. So let's put that here and here. Here, this is kind of like I said, I don't do scene building cards too often on a live or in a video. I need to, but they can be a lot of watching of, you know, coloring and stuff. So sometimes I just need to do the little parts and show little bits, edit that together. But we're going to put him down right here on our sled, push him down. And I colored the sled in the back. I wanted this to have like a back to it. That could have been a snow that's off too, but I like it like that. I was actually going to layer it because when I stamped it originally, if you noticed, it moved and I was going to pop them together, but I can save that for another time. And then we're going to put a couple of our trees because we need a few more trees. We need a few trees. We're going to put a tree on this side. I think I'm going to put the other tree right there. I'm just going to stick it down a little bit lower so it looks like there's some different heights to those trees. And then I got my little snowman here, and I think I'm gonna put a little piece of foam tape behind him and stick him and mount him up. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna stick that right there. And then last but not least, which is gonna be hard to see in the photos or in the video because it won't dry. And here's another, you could kind of spritz it again if you wanted that sparkle on the snow, but instead of doing that, I'm gonna grab the new Tinsel Twinkle Glitter Glaze. It's so pretty. And I'm gonna grab my little paintbrush here, and I'm gonna grab some of that, and I'm gonna paint it on the edges of the snow. I love being able to do that, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, I just use the tip of the brush. I'll come up a little closer so you can see that. I just kind of do a little bit. I mean, you can even do it over the sled a little bit because, you know, he's in the snow. You could totally do this and edge it, let it dry before you put it together. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it in. And I'm gonna cover the whole bottom part of his sled with some of that little bit. And it doesn't have to be a ton, just enough to give it a little sparkle. And then we're gonna grab some here, of course. And it's like adding glitter without adding glitter. And this tinsel is beautiful. You know, not everyone likes to use glitter, so you don't have to mess. You can mess with the glaze. It's all contained, so you don't have any of that loose stuff if you don't like it. And you don't have to mess with glue because it's already in the glaze. I mean, I could totally paint the whole set if I really wanted to. The whole, like I said, snowbank. I'll get a little bit on this guy because he's, you know, he's a snowman. He needs a little glue. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do a couple little drops. Bigger little ones. Maybe add a little bit to the top of the house. Just because there could be some frostiness since it's night, even though the fire is going. And you just little dots. You know, it's snowing a little bit, so we might have a little bit on there. And then don't forget the little areas. And the nice thing about something like this is it's pretty forgiving. And of course, I probably should add some drops to the snow because it's snowing. You could add some of those drops to some of the snowflakes that we stamped to the snow as well, or you could cut them out with the SVGs and add them, but I'm just gonna add a little bit of snow like that, maybe a little bit to his hat, and not just, because you know what, you need a little sparkle. And when you need to, there we go, put a little extra on the snow. We'll put a little bit extra on the top of the trees because, you know, the trees would have not melted unless the sun was out earlier that day. So I'll put a little bit on each of the trees. There we go, you guys. So I'm gonna let this dry and then I'll get in to put it on a card base. I hope you enjoyed this tonight, and we'll see you next week. I should be live and we will play with some more of the other releases or the city release, depending on what I find in my stash to play with. Have a great weekend, and I will see you all next week. Bye.